Everything in. Wow, hello everyone. This is Eric here from Etiquette. Let me just get this right. Okay, yeah, this is it's actually now 12:15, so this is my first Monday live stream, not my Sunday live stream, and I'll tell you why that is now. Sorry, my lips are dry. Okay, so every week I do a live stream on Sundays to talk about a topic. And today, well, this weekend I went snowboarding. Hi, who's there? This weekend I went snowboarding and I only came back. So the bus arrived at 9 or 10, and then I had to drive all the way from the city to come back home. And then I was about to start, but I had a bellyache, so sorry you had to wait a little bit. Okay, yeah, hello everyone. So today's topic is actually all about Korean English teachers. It's all about Korean English teachers. Actually, there's a different topic I'm going to move towards, but you can check this out and you'll understand why I'm going to talk about it like this. Okay. Yeah, a little bit about this weekend before I start, while we wait. Yeah, I went snowboarding this weekend. You probably saw some of the videos I did on the top of the mountain, and it was a really good experience. I had a lot of fun when it came to skiing. I met some friends. I made some new ones. It was really good. And, well, something else also happened. I was on this trip and I think my snowboarding improved. Usually when I go on these trips, I go and enjoy myself. There's a hot tub, so I spend a lot of time in the hot tub, and I might go skiing or go snowboarding once or twice, and then go and lie in the hot tub and just enjoy it. But this year they closed the hot tubs. They filled them up, so I was forced to go out and actually improve this skill. Improve my snowboarding, which I really enjoyed. So I feel like after this weekend, I've actually improved. And something else also happened. I was with a lot of new people, and I feel I'm a little bit different when I go out with these people. I'm usually very fun and talkative, but for some reason, I was a bit more reserved sometimes, I think. And it made me think, wow, it's so many unique personalities around. And to stand out, for me to stand out in this world, I'm going to have to work a lot harder at stuff, and I think I should push myself a little bit harder to achieve more things. So my New Year's resolution for next year is to do everything at least 50% harder. I'm not going to say 100%. I'm a bit lazy, but at least 50% harder to bring out more content and to try new things. So yeah, I was very excited about that because I had this motivation to start working harder. And I think, whatever reason you have, you should push yourself to do a better job. Whatever reason, For me, it was just that ambition to be better, and to stand out. So whatever your reason is, you should try and do that. Okay, now back to today's topic. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I mean, I'm coming on to my decade in Korea, so I've gathered a lot of knowledge on the education system, and I've worked with many teachers. Not just the teachers I taught with, but I've also had some workshops where I taught teachers. And I think in the future, that's something that I'm really passionate about, is helping teachers with this knowledge that I have, or finding ideas and sharing it with teachers. It's something I think is really interesting. So actually, I think I want to start writing some blogs, perhaps send it into some newspapers on my thoughts on Korean education, English education, and also helping Korean English teachers. Because let me state this clearly. Thank you, Joo Young. Yeah, I'll try. I don't work that hard, but I think I can push myself a little bit harder. So here's the thing. In Korea, there are amazing teachers. I've met some really good teachers. They're passionate and they're very interested in their subject, and they've trained very hard. To become a teacher in Korea, Korea is one of the best, has one of the best students that come out of the education system in the world. They're constantly in the top 3, right? So to become a teacher in Korea, you have to be one of the best students. A lot of these universities for teachers only accept the top 10%, which is fantastic. You want smart and harder working teachers to bring up the next generation. So let me state that clearly. There are amazing Korean teachers. I absolutely believe that. But there is a flaw in the system. So Korea, it's really about getting good grades. They train these students for tests. So they focus and they hammer in on grammar. That's what they do. They prepare these kids for tests. So there's nothing about the holistic development of the students. The whole body, the whole development of the students. It's just cram in this information for the test. It doesn't matter. So here you've got kids that might be studying 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours every day, probably more, but it's just for that test. So if you take them and they write the test, amazing marks. They could beat anyone. But then you take them and you put them in another environment to talk or to do some kind of project or to work with others or to a different type of test, then it's really difficult for them. Now, for the past 25 years, the government actually noticed that, well, even though students are doing amazingly well in tests, their speaking ability is very weak, and also the way that they're being taught by their Korean English teachers, it's basically the teacher goes inside and it's a lecture style, because they want to reach the whole class. So they would just lecture the grammar and they would go through the books and they would solve problems for these tests. But it's more lecture style. It's not a style where the students actually participate in class and, use discussion and ask the teacher these questions about it. It's just the teachers in front of the class and the students have to listen. It also goes really well with the Confucius nature of Koreans, right? So the government realized this, and for the past 25 years, they've brought in native English teachers to accompany these Korean teachers. So they would be co-teaching, whereas the Korean teacher would do a lesson on grammar, and then they would have another class that's just a speaking or fun type of class with a foreigner that comes in to speak. Now, these native English teachers are from 7 countries: South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, America, Canada, England, and is it Ireland? Something else? I forgot. There's another one. And so they would come in, usually people that are in their 20s. They finish college, they come to Korea because they want to come in. Right, Jiyoung is actually a fantastic teacher. She's working so hard to improve herself too. And actually, I'd like to have her on the show to talk about her experience too. I'd like to have you on and do some videos, especially with younger students, because I've got a problem with that. So that's something I'd like to do. Okay, so now, here's the thing. Why? So even though for 25 years, a whole generation, you've got native English teachers that are here, they're teaching, and also you've got this new stream, the kids that were taught by them, they're becoming adults now, they're becoming teachers. But still, it remains the same. The speaking level of many of these students, from the education that they receive in public schools, doesn't prepare them. It just doesn't prepare them for life after after high school. So they struggle, they're very shy, and it's difficult for them to speak. If I gave them a sentence or a problem, they'd be able to solve it very quickly. But if they had to suddenly meet someone or talk about something or have a group discussion with a couple of different people, it would be very difficult for them. So most of these students also go to extra classes at academies, English academies, and there they also learn some more. And even while these are effective, you would think that with the amount of time they spend on public education, they should be better, but they're not. So that's where I actually want to come to the point of today's lesson. And it's not about Korean English teachers. It's actually, why do Korean English teachers teach this way? And what can we learn from it? So the thing is, once you start teaching, you're new to teaching, you don't know what to do. You think about, how did your teacher teach you? What did your teacher do? And if you look at that, they probably looked at how their teacher taught them, and their teacher looked to how their teacher taught them. So we look back because we start this career, we start teaching, and we think, I'm not good enough. I'm unsure, I'm new to this. And we think back, wow, what did my teacher do? How did they teach me? And in most cases, they would have this authoritarian teacher standing in front of the class, lecturing the students how to do things. And then in our minds, we think, that's what my teacher did for me. And I grew up well, I grew up educated, obviously I learned something, so let me just follow that same method. I'll just do the same. Now, with Korean teachers, so what they do is, they do the exact same style they've been doing for the last 50 years. Stand in front of the class, speak down to the students, they have to listen to you, and you just lecture them. And that's a problem, because obviously we know that there's a better way to learn, especially in something like languages, where we have to be able to communicate with each other. And we have to be able to form part of discussions and to think about things, right? There's a different way to do it. But it's also difficult for new teachers because, especially in Korea, where you're the teacher, and in Korea, I told you guys before of the hierarchy, you have to be in control of that class. You are the authority. And as teachers, we have to be that way. So the teacher, they stand in front of the class, they lecture the students, and they just continue talking and talking and talking because they might be afraid. They might be afraid that if I change the rules, the students might act out. The students might start, disrespecting me. But if I stand in front of the class and I'm in front of the blackboard constantly talking, there's no way they can disrespect me, and that's why. Tradition. Teachers teach because of our teachers, also because of fear of the unknown. They're afraid of taking risks while teaching. So they just stick to the tried and tested. But it's not really tried and tested because it's just the same old, same old. So now here comes the good question. How do we change? What can we do? Well, I've thought about this for a while, and I'm definitely going to start putting it into, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to think about it thoroughly because, obviously I can sit here and I can talk about the topic for a few minutes and a few ideas that I have. But once you put pen to paper, then you can actually start working it out. Or that's how my brain is. I need to type stuff out. That's why you'll probably see with my videos, I like the bullet points because I can think about something and I can talk about something, and it's easier for me that way. But here's what I think. Obviously, you're not going to change an educational system overnight. You're not going to change your style of classroom management overnight. Start small. if I had to give advice to Korean teachers, I would say, do something small. You've got this classroom where you just, lecture, and go through the book and the problems, and, you tell the students what to do. But why don't you just allocate 5 minutes a day? Sorry, that was a bit loud. 5 minutes a day to doing a fun activity, a talking activity, a group activity, play a game where the students actually get to use this language that they'll be learning in class, right? Either, I would say, do it at the start as a warm-up. Just 5 minutes of your class. You're like, kids, okay, we're going to do 5 minutes. Let's do this activity. Stand up, talk to each other. I want to see you interacting in English. Because it's really tough for these students to just have conversations with each other in another language if they haven't practiced it. So you have to start doing that. Yeah, most students are very shy. Why? Because they're afraid of making mistakes, and it's also kind of weird for them to well, I'm just talking about talking with each other, using it in the classroom. It's very difficult for them to, open up to each other because you're so used to speaking in Korean, right? So you have to get them used to speaking. That is my ultimate goal. In my classes, I don't tolerate shy students because I want them to talk. It's just not an option. No student tells me, teacher, I'm shy. I don't want to talk. I'm like, I don't care. There's nobody shy in this classroom. Actually, I'll make another video about that later, how to get students to speak more and to be less shy. But what I want to say is that I think teachers should start playing a warm-up game to practice the language and English in class or whatever subject you're teaching. And also, it will get the students excited to come to class. Because if all your classes are just these lecture style classes, you're gonna hate going to that class. You're gonna be like, oh man, I'm going to be bored for 50 minutes. I'm just gonna sit there. That's horrible. But if at least there's a bright spark, they come into class, they're like, oh, I'm going to talk to my friends. It's gonna be a fun game. And then after that, I could be bored for 45 minutes. Yes, so definitely start allocating a small part of your class to that. When they are really young, they need to speak. Yeah, no, they need to speak. It should become second nature for them. So they should be encouraged to open up and to speak about things. I'll do a video on that very soon. That's so true. Thank you, Trian. So I wanted to say that. Allocate a short part of your class to that. And then the second thing is, whatever they're learning in the class, you have to make it relatable to them. It should be something that is real to them. So let's say they learn something, they learn future tense. You're going to start asking them, okay, so what are you going to do for your next vacation? What are you doing this weekend? What are you doing in the future? So that they can start taking whatever they're learning and apply it to their real lives and be like, oh, this is useful to me. So if you teach grammar or some other point, make it real to them. And it's the same with, sorry, I'll hide my hairy leg. If you're teaching something else, if you're teaching biology, obviously you want to, the students, once they make these connections to their real life, they will start learning it better and they will start understanding it more. So yeah, allocate some time for students to try something different in your class. Use that small amount of time to experiment with new ideas and new techniques. And then, you can start, being more experimental in your whole class, but just allocate a small part of that to it at first. And then next, make connections for these students to their real world life so that they can start understanding it in a way that's valuable to themselves. Yeah. Okay, guys. That's what I wanted to say. So to come back to it, I told you about the Korean education system when it comes to English. And I said that the real thing is that we as teachers shouldn't copy what our teachers did before. You can take valuable pieces from that and use that. Like if a teacher had a certain thing that they did in class, you can say, wow, that's fantastic, or a mindset. that you agree with or that you think is really cool. Use that in your class, but do not use something just because it was used on you. Think about it. Make sure that it's useful for your students, and don't do it just because of tradition. And then I said, so what you want to do is you want to experiment with a small part of your class to get students active and let them use the language and have fun and play games, so that they are motivated in the subject, and also that they want to come to the classroom, to get them excited about whatever topic you're teaching. And then finally, make it real, because the more connections we make with our subjects and ourselves, the more likely we are to remember it, and the more likely we are to do a good job with it. Yeah, guys, so that's what I wanted to say. Jiang, thank you for being my viewer. Everyone, I'm so sorry that I missed it. It was just the whole snowboard trip. I've got a few videos coming out. I have to work on it. I'm working currently on one on New Year's resolutions. So it's similar to, when I did the one on Halloween and Christmas. I like making a video a month focused on some lessons that we can use for that period. And then I'm also going to look at some other useful things. Maybe I'll look at this one for how can we get students to talk more in class. I think that's very valuable. Oh, sorry. That's very important. I'll look at that. And also, I just wanted to say I'll be working a little bit harder. I'm going to stick to my schedule. Every Wednesday, bring out a nice video. And then every Sunday, I've got my live stream. And then in between, if I just want to make a random video, I'll put it out. I'm going to start adding one more thing that I'm going to ask you to do. If you like this video, share it. Share it with people around you, because it's getting so difficult to get the word out. And, I think if it's a good video and it's got some ideas in there, I think the thing is I need to start polishing the way that I present it. Maybe I don't present it in as clearly a way, or my editing sucks, or whatever way. But if you share it, more people will watch it, and maybe, we can help them. And I'll also work on making my content more easily digestible for other viewers too. Yeah, everyone, any questions, anything you want to talk about? Yeah, this week is my final week. The students are writing tests, and I have to finish the marking, which isn't too bad, just get all my admin up to date and then think about this vacation. Yeah, nothing planned yet. I've got some ideas, but yeah, it's just same old. And like I said, after this day with after this weekend, I'm really motivated to push hard, going to the gym, finally working on my Korean, but also on my videos, and also I might start working on a website and stuff like that too, and writing some letters. I've got all these ideas, but should have a focus. Okay, thank you, Juyang. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and anybody else who watches this, have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you next week. Next week, I'll be back to my normal time. I won't mess it up this time, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And share the video.